Hey everybody. In response to some of the questions about drawing Lewis dot diagrams, I thought I'd make a quick video here to kind of illustrate some of the concepts. In one of the previous assignments, you have been drawing the Lewis dot diagrams of individual elements, and from those diagrams we are inferring the number of bonds that we can expect in our final diagram, as well as whether or not non-bonding pairs exist. In the case of sulfur being a group 6 element, it has 6 valence electrons, which we see demonstrated on the page. The 2 single electrons correspond to the 2 number of bonds we expect sulfur to make. These 2 pairs of electrons are called non-bonding pairs. We expect to see those in our final diagram as well. It's worth noting that the octet rule describes that each element in our diagrams must have 4 pairs of electrons around it. There are a number of exceptions to this rule, namely hydrogen. Hydrogen with only 1 electron and having that in the 1s energy level only has one pair. Only. So if we were to look at the diagram, the first thing we need to do to draw a diagram, such as question number 12 in the last assignment, is to step number 1, total up the number of electron pairs. There are 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 sulfur atom. Each hydrogen contributes 1 valence electron, each sulfur 6 valence electrons, for a total of 8, meaning that there are 4 electron pairs that should be present in our final diagram. No more, no less. Our next step would be, in the guess and test method, to connect each element to the central atom with a single bond, as we see demonstrated thusly. The central element in each diagram will be the element with the greatest bond capacity and typically the lowest electronegativity. Both of those pieces of information you know already. You can draw the Lewis structure to figure out the bond capacity or expected number of bonds, or use your periodic table to determine the electronegativity of each element. Step number 3 is to fill out the octet of the peripheral elements first and the central elements last. So recall that hydrogen can only have 1 pair of electrons, here symbolized by that line or sigma bond. Hydrogen's full. The remaining 2 electron pairs are on the sulfur. Notice how each hydrogen forms 1 bond. That jives with what we expect to see. Sulfur we expect to form 2 bonds and have 2 non-bonding pairs, which we also see. Our final step is to review our diagram and modify as needed.